I need to demonstrate grace in listening. Your life changes. So.
Hello, this is Basil Babychan, a neoclassical musician with music that carries melodic messages. Messengers is my video series that is dedicated to everyday heroes amongst us. Through their life experiences, they are beacons of hope and inspiration for us all. Now, if you like what I do and want to watch more of these, or melodic messages, or simply listen to neoclassical music, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the next video.
Your story carries a lot of courage, of course. You know, there's a lot of courage. There's a lot of overcoming that you're doing, and I believe this is not status quo, right? So people, or most, would rather, if I dare say, choose to be in a victim's position, and more importantly, I think they're not very comfortable in accepting or viewing others who don't accept that victim's position. You know, this is something which I have come across personally, and so I believe they exist. So do you feel at times you've been misunderstood in anything that you've done in the last 65 years, as you mentioned? Mm-hmm. Have you been insulted?
Oh, yes.
For that?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely. But probably the one period of my life where that misunderstanding probably was at the, like where I was facing it was when my daughter passed away, and I was carrying her. I was told that she was terminal while I was pregnant. And I found out at 21 weeks that she may not live. And she was moving in my tummy. She was active. And in my heart, I couldn't terminate her life. And I carried her to term. Whether she lived or she didn't, I knew that for me, that was the greatest thing I could do, was to give her a chance. And I did. And she lived 6 hours. But in those 9 months, or the latter, like 21 weeks is when I found out. So in the latter, like 19 weeks of the pregnancy, I had a lot of people like coming up and touching my stomach and like, bless you, and don't you think it would be better if she would just like die, like just like abort her. And there were all kinds of opinions and prayers, and sometimes I knew that a lot of them, or most of them, were all with kindness and love, but some of them were, like you said, misunderstanding. They're just not understanding. So at that point, then I had to kick in with have grace, have respect, that that's their opinion. And you have to do that in life. You have to show grace and respect, because we're all different. We've all been raised in different environments, and we have different faiths, and so we have to respect. When we lose respect, then I think that's where things fall apart in the world,
Yeah.
And so, I've been misunderstood, but now I've reached a point where, sure, I care about what people think, but I'm showing respect to say that person, they need to show it back to me. And if they don't, then that's unfortunate. But I'm not going to let it ruffle my feathers, my wings.
Yeah. You lost your father when you were pretty young, at the age of 6. You lost your child, your 6th child, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
you got in an accident. Did I hear that as well? A week before you've gone through the 9/11. I'm sorry, a year before you went through the accident, you've gone through the 9/11 situation. What keeps your fire? I mean, you've mentioned that music is your recourse. Music is something that keeps you grounded. Maybe it gives you peace. It gives you solace. You mentioned about your faith, the fact that you believe there is a higher power, and the higher power means good. Most people would think exactly the opposite. Like, if there was a higher power, why is all this crap happening to me?
Right. Yeah. Oh, exactly. But with in my experience, I have found that I have been able to endure with a resiliency that I can only attribute to faith and higher power, whatever way you want to speak. I mean, I'm like, it's like I'm becoming more like a rock as the years go by, but my heart's still soft. But my shell, my ability to endure is growing, and we have a choice. I think in life you have a choice, and you can choose to be a victim, and you can resort to whatever that is that consoles you, whether it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is. I just happen to choose the path of music and nature because, well, first of all, like nature it's like a fuel. When you go out there and you breathe all that fresh air and you hear the birds and you go to the ocean or whatever it may be, it's like it feeds you. It's like it gives you that feeling of joy and comfort. And I think it's the choices we make that define us. It's what we feed our minds too. Like if you sit in front of the TV and if you watch a lot of negative stuff, it can't help but impact you in some way. And we're not talking about faith or anything here. We're talking about what you feed your body, whether it's food, nature. I feel like you have to respect your own self. You need to do that. And if you can't respect yourself, it's going to be pretty hard to respect other people too.
Right. And as you go through this, it begs me to ask the question: why do you do this? Why do you decide to stand up every day and make the next day better? Why do you not give up? Why do you not say, you know what, I think I've had too much? Come on, no person should go through this. What keeps your fire burning? Because this is a powerful story, Shere.
Well, I've seen a lot of death. And I want light. I want the sunshine. I don't want darkness. When you watch your child's eyes close, and your life changes. So I wrote a chapter for a book, and the book was called Friends of Footprints of the Sand. And there's a poem written by Margaret Fishback Powers, very famous, Footprints in the Sand. When I was carrying my child, I used to go down to the beach. And I'd walk on the beach. And I'd leave imprints in the sand. But I was carrying a child that may or may not live. And what it did at that time was I drew just myself closer to God, because what else could you do? I mean, what are you going to do? And at that point in my life, I just felt like it was a turning point. My dad's death, I was bitter for years, and I can tell you and confess to you that for a lot of years of my high school, not having a father, and seeing my friends graduate with their both parents, and just events. I in my teen years I was bitter, but I didn't go to drugs, and I drank silly, like apple cider beers and stuff like that, but I didn't find comfort in alcohol or anything like that. It was like I needed to go to the ocean. I needed to, those things just almost, I have to tell you that I felt like alcohol was sort of like making me feel worse. It was like, I feel bad now. I don't feel better after that. It doesn't make me feel happier. So running on the beach or doing something silly out in nature was like magic, And so I think when my daughter passed away, I cried out a lot and said, why? And I even wrote about it. I just said, why? Why? But then I started to realize that after that happened, I'm now feeling like I'm I'm more compassionate towards other people. I've endured something that I've come out of, and I can help my kids. And I wasn't a perfect parent. Nobody is. But I have to say that I felt like those years after she died, I gave my best to my children. I was blessed with one more child, my little boy, and 1996. So, yeah, it's very, very deep, very personal conversation here, but yeah, it has defined who I am today.
You carry such a powerful story. I would only imagine that this story is ingrained in the way of life, in the perspective, in the outlook, in the resilience and the courage that your kids carry. Because I think that's passing it on, isn't it?
Yeah, and my mom was, she was like a beacon of hope. She just always tried to see the bright, the good, the grace. She was just such a good person, and she taught me a lot. And I need to demonstrate grace in listening. And I think far too many people nowadays are out there just like on social media, just voicing their opinion everywhere. And there's sort of like a toxic, there's a toxic air out there in social media. And I'm like, if I look back to 1994 when my daughter passed away, I could have had all kinds of sympathy. I could have had, people just, oh, Shere, I'm so sorry, all this kind of stuff. And I do see some of that now that is really troubling. And I think you can put so much stuff out there, like you as an individual, that you have to be ready for what comes back. And sometimes that's where all of this, I think you can get yourself into almost a mental illness if you go on social media too much, always looking for affirmation. I think you need to go back to your teacher, or I think you just need to sit down, with your teacher and say, why am I doing this? Because at the end of the day, you really should be doing this as an expression of yourself.
Well, Shere, you are on Instagram. I've been watching a lot of your posts, and I think you're doing some great collaborations as well. So now I just heard something about your Iranian collaboration. So could you tell us where could we find you? Where could we find you? What are you doing? What should we be looking forward to from Shere Fraser in the next 2 or 3 months?
Oh, well, it's pretty exciting. I do update regularly as much as I can in my stories. So if you follow my stories, you see all kinds of updates, usually daily. On Instagram, on the main feed, I'm down to now posting about once a week. And the reason why is because I'm so busy composing, which is a great place. I've got a real life. I've got a real life. So I've got a release coming out on July the 30th with Yellow Rose Records, and it's beautiful. It is. I just started with Spotify in February, so I've got 2 releases on
Yes.
Spotify. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Right.
my YouTube audience is growing slowly. I'm getting pretty close to 50,000 views, so it's pretty neat. And you can find me, on Spotify, SoundCloud. Just did a really great collaboration with a young composer, and we just recently posted on SoundCloud. So I'm on pretty much all the different platforms now.
Very cool. Share an amazing story. You're an amazing person, and really, you spoke about your mom being the beacon of light. Whether your kids see you as a beacon of light or not, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you are a beacon of light to a lot of people. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me on my first of the first, hopefully many, series where I'm trying to bring people like you, powerful stories out to my very few listeners and viewers. But again, thank you so much for joining. And you continue to be an inspiration.
Did this experience help light your own fire? What did you find most uplifting? Put that in the comments below. Do you have an inspirational story to share? Get in touch. There's a link in this description. I am Basil Babychan, a musician, manager, and believer. If you like what I do,